We are live. Try 3 of podcast number 6. We had some technical issues with recording the last ones. And I was going to say, this is podcast number 6, but there's going to be a time where we're probably going to mess up, say, hey, it's podcast number 8, but it's probably going to be podcast number 9. But that's the fun thing.
It is what it is. We're here to show you all our flaws and be just us.
Exactly.
This is real life, not fake.
And in the last podcast, we ended on you asking about my plant-based diet. And I was like, let's do that for the next podcast. So could you maybe repeat the question for the audience?
Definitely. So, obviously, I know you're vegan. What I wanted to know was how long you've been vegan. And I kind of want to really understand how you base it around your training and how you built your muscle off of it, how you kept your size on.
Okay, there's a lot of questions. So I'll start off with the beginning. Like an hour of questions. You're not.
Yeah, we're gonna be here a while.
You're not gonna speak. You're not gonna speak for the upcoming hour. It's just me talking.
They've heard enough of me anyway. So
just me shouting, I'm vegan. That's all they need to hear.
That's right.
Okay, back to the serious. So
all right.
I'm 21 right now. I started going vegetarian 3 years ago when I was 18. I watched a documentary about health and also about the environment, and I was like, why did I not know this? What the hell? What are we doing with our planets and to our health is insane. Why did I didn't know this before. So from Thursday to Friday, I just quit. I just quit eating meat. I was like, fuck this, I'm out. So, and then I slowly started to go to a full plant-based diet. I'm not full plant-based at the moment, actually. Once I go out with friends and there's some cheese in the meal when we go to a restaurant, I'm not going to be that person that says, no, I want to, that's fine, right? So whenever I'm on a holiday or have a party or I eat at people that do make it vegetarian, but they put some egg on it, I'm not going to throw that away. That doesn't make any sense. So I'm whenever I eat for myself or buy or cook at home, it's just fully plant-based. And every once in a while, there's some animal products in it, which is fine for me. So the vegetarian was one day to the other one, just quit overnight. Going into plant-based, I needed to figure some stuff out because in the beginning, it's hard to find out what you want to do. So the reason why I did it, I already kind of told it, was the environment, health, but also a moral standpoint, the way we treat animals. That was just a no-go for me. And I want to clear this for all the meat eaters that are watching. I still think you can have a healthy lifestyle with some animal products in there. That's fine. If you eat plant-based, a lot of, not plant-based, but I mean non-processed foods, my bad. So if you stay away from that, a lot of fruits, vegetables, you're going to be fine. If you have some chicken or some egg, we're already similar for 95%. So let's focus on that 95% and not that 5%. Because a lot of times I see this happening, vegans and meat eaters, they get lost in this debate. But what they have in common is way greater than the things they don't have in common.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm curious, what was the documentary you watched?
Cowspiracy.
Okay. Yeah, I did see that one.
What the Health? I was a bit skeptic with What the Health, though. Because if you...
What the Health changed me.
Yeah.
That was the one that changed me, so I saw that one as well.
But Cowspiracy was a home run for me, especially. I was like...
Gotcha.
It's this is real. This is happening. So, and also what I said from a moral point of view, if you say, I eat dog, then people are like, what? You eat your pets? Because they do that in China, right? But if you say I eat a pig, or then it's all good. So it's weird how we view that as really being normal, and the other thing as not being normal. And
it's very weird.
I love animals, so I was like, I'm just gonna quit doing that. And that was probably your first question.
Well, actually, maybe just to clarify, you're actually doing the vegan more for the environment and just more for the animals and that aspect, not necessarily to be healthy.
I do it as well, but like you are not a vegan, but our diet is really similar because
Yes,
you
exactly.
you stay away from non-processed foods. You eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, so you do that to be healthy, and I do the same thing to be healthy as well. The only difference is you have a small amount of animal products in your diet, and I don't have. So
Yeah, I'm mostly vegetarian, I guess, is because vegetarians eat eggs. So I eat eggs every morning, but I eat very little meat. And the reason why is like, I mean, especially out here, our meat isn't really that good. Like the farm, the factory farming meat, it's just not good for us, in my opinion. So like I stay away from that. I feel better internally. That's why I do it. But like I completely agree with you. I think that like overall it's very smart for most people to just do mostly plant based and then some meats.
exactly, and I don't want to go into the discussion of that last few percent. Like, if
Yeah,
you want to worry about that, go watch the James Wilco Joe Rogan podcast about the game changer. Like, I'm gonna leave that
that's
up.
the best one.
I'm gonna
Yep.
leave that up to them. Like, and the next thing was about training. Um, so in the first 5 months when I transitioned from eating a lot of meat, like I come from a place where I ate a lot of meat and animal products, to
Okay, I'm
not
sorry.
anymore.
Sorry to stop you. But so just to clarify, so you actually did eat a lot of meat
Oh
before
yes,
this.
yes,
Really?
like every
And
day.
so,
Uh,
wow, okay.
Dairy every day, like a lot.
Was
So
that did you train in the time that you're eating meat?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I started fitness and calisthenics and CrossFit when I was 15, and I went starting with eating plant based when I was 18. So I had this like 3 year period where I was eating meat and animal products when I was training.
Were you doing any like supplementation, like protein shakes or creatine
No,
or
oh
any
yeah,
of that stuff?
creatine, only creatine.
Okay.
I like just to get the protein out of my meals and not take anything extra. But then
I
I
agree.
switched to a plant based, and in the first 5 months, my training sucked. Like, I have to admit that. Like in the beginning, it didn't go well. But I was like,
Wow.
is it because my nutrition is bad, or is it just my body um, not being ready to change yet? Just getting used to the fact I changed up my diet so much. Like I was saying, I was eating a lot of meat, a lot of dairy. So after 5 months, I started PRing again, and my progress was back to normal. So yeah, it was just my body adjusting to the fact I switched my diet so badly.
So was it like energy levels were lower? Was your strength lower at all of it across the board, or was it one?
Not my energy levels, especially my strength. So my power clean, for instance, I had trouble with 90 kilos on the bar. I was like, what's happening? Like normally I would easily be able to do 100. But when I passed that threshold of 5 months, like my PRs went through the roof again. So it was just my body adjusting to it. And it's hard to measure because is it now better than before I was eating meat? I don't know because I can only pick one, right? I cannot test both.
Yeah.
So that's a really interesting one. But I feel great. Like I'm super healthy. I'm super fit. I still get PRs. So I don't want to push like a vegan diet is the best for you as an athlete. But what I do want to push is, hey, it doesn't have to matter. Like look at the results. Like you can do both. It doesn't really matter.
So what got you through the 5 months?
Patience.
And you just knew you had like faith inside yourself, like this is it, this is the diet I want to be on, and it's gonna work.
Yeah, and I even knew that even if my training is going to get a bit less, I still do it for the environment and for the animals. So then I'm okay with being a bit less in the gym. But that turned out not to be true. So I was like, let's go.
Dude, that is like so cool that you were able to do that. You made, first of all, like what 21-year-old kid doesn't want to look like you? You know what I mean? Like everyone wants muscle, everyone wants to look like an action figure. So you instead overrode that, of what all these kids want and chose the environment and the greater good over it. Like that's pretty cool, dude. That's really cool. I've always been really curious about it because like, I mean, when I went vegan, I experienced the exact opposite. Like, dude, my strength went through the roof. My energy levels went through the roof. I'm like, this is end all be all. This is amazing. It was the best diet I ever was on. Then I lost 60 pounds. And it was like, I was like shriveling up into nothing. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna have to figure out something here. And I didn't mind losing the weight, but like that's what it did for me. So like that's why I had to make the switch. And maybe that was like the wrong switch. Like I feel like maybe I should have just went in with like the mentality you had and had like a different focus, as opposed to just my weight. Who
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah, it's funny how that works and how every body is different, right? Like your energy and performing went to the roof in the beginning, and I needed some time. So it's so different for everybody. Even though I still think that like sticking to a plant base for most of the time is still going to be healthier than anything else, of course. But it proves that everybody is different. Like Joe Rogan went on a carnivore diet. I don't understand that you can be healthy with that. Like how can you feel healthy with a carnivore diet? I was like, how is that even possible? But like his levels were good, his blood was good. So like I don't even know what's the best. Like
Yeah, you know what, man? Like I went so far into the weeds with diet for I mean the past like 5 years, and I went all over the place. I've done so many different diets, but like I've really begun to realize that it's like the food isn't like it's a aspect to it, but it's a small chunk. I don't know what the percentage would be. Maybe 10. I feel like your mind is more. Like if you're not happy inside and you don't feel healthy in your mind and inside, like you're not going to ever be healthy. So like I feel like even like in the fitness world, a lot of them are corrupted. Like most people don't even understand this, but like bodybuilders are like they suffer, man. They're like super unhealthy because they're dehydrating their body constantly. They're eating way too much. They're going through these bulk and cutting phases. Like this is very very bad on your body, and like mentally it hurts you too. So like if you're not like mentally feeling healthy, I don't know if your body could. That's kind of the way I feel about it. So I feel like we'll take the French for example.
the what?
They're pretty the French.
Oh, the French, yeah.
So they're like notorious for eating pretty crappy, right? Cheese and sweets and like they're just known for it. And you go look at their statistics, man, they're like super healthy people. And like I remember I don't remember what documentary I watched, but they kind of like did a little study on it, and basically they found that like they think of food different. It's more of like an offering. It's more of like this is our time to come together as a community and family and be happy, and like they're really happy about the food that they eat and they love it and they enjoy their time. So there's less disease out there.
Mm.
And that's when I connected it. I'm like, if you think you're healthy and like you're actually happy with this food, I'm not saying eat. You can't. I don't know if you could do this with fast food. So like, don't take it out of context. I think that the offering of food and like just the community, and if you feel healthy with everyone and feel healthy and happy inside, that's more significant than actual healthy diet. I feel like.
And there's something else to that as well. I'm gonna compare that to something else first. Like you say that if you look at the French people, they eat badly, but that's probably what we think of what they eat all day. So we think of cheese and all the other stuff, but they're probably eating only a little a day. Like what you said, when they come back, when they come together with family, they eat that, but the rest of the week they're probably eating really healthy. So we think like, like cheese is bad. Why are they not unhealthy? But I think that's just like a small percentage of what we see and what they actually eat. So now I'm going to compare this to something else. You have these people that say, right, like if I eat just a tiny bit, I'm going to gain a lot of weight. And then you have people like, when I cut just a little bit of food, I'm going to lose a lot of weight. If you look at their patterns, they did this in a big scientific research. The people that said like I gain weight really easily, if you looked at their diet, like their whole diet, their term of normal was already a lot more than the regular person. If you take the people that said I lose weight really fast, if you looked at their full diet, their calorie intake was already lower than a regular person. So it's kind of like that perception of thinking I gain weight easily, but it's probably just all the habits in your diet. So that may be the same thing with the French people, that of course when they come with family, they eat cheese and all this unhealthy stuff, but probably the rest of the week they still are in this calorie deficit and work out and move and do all this healthy stuff. So it might have something to do with that as well.
Yeah, that's you're bringing on a strong point. And I mean, you even said it too. Like the person that was like, I typically lose weight quicker. Maybe psychologically they already like are setting in this idea of like eating less calories without doing that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like they're fabricating that in their head, so
Yeah.
they don't realize it. And then same with the other person, vice versa. The one that's like, I can't lose weight. Well, they're already fabricating it because, now they're eating more calories because of that. So that's interesting. Like our minds are very, very tricky on us. They love to play tricks on us, and that could be something like that, right?
Exactly. And to get back on what you said about it's one piece of the puzzle, that is true because when I used to eat a lot of meat, I was already working out and sleeping well and not overeating, also eating fruits and vegetables. So when then I switched to a plant-based diet, like of course I ate quite a lot of meat, but that got switched out for something else. But the rest remained the same. So I was already healthy when I was eating meat. So then I just gained a little bit of more health, like maybe a few percent, right? So I was just adding those small pieces to the puzzle to make a full, complete puzzle.
So did you experience like any like weight loss or weight gain in that 5 months when you're like going through the adaptation phase?
I I lost some weight in the beginning, excuse me, and then I gained some weight later on, just like in a linear way. But my dad, he lost a lot of weight. He switched with me not to a full plant-based diet, but he cut like 95% of his animal products out as well, and he lost like 6 kilos in like 4 months. And
That's amazing.
he was already healthy and skinny, and he's like turning 60 in the upcoming year, almost 60, and he's still going to the gym and doing pull-ups and ice skating every weekend, and he's super fit. He's got like he's getting shredded, man. He's like getting abs
Nice.
and good shoulders. He's like almost 60 and going to a almost plant-based diet and killing his workouts. So like that's the way to go, man.
Good job, Pops. I love it. I love it. Because that's our goal, right? Our goal is to do this well into our old age. And we talk about it a lot. And it's not about being big or looking like you work out or any of that. It's about being able to, feel good every day and be able to do that well into your old age. And that's what it's all about. And like, that's why I love the plant-based diet. And at least like anybody that like, oh, I can't cut out meat or whatever, you don't have to. Just eat less of it. And then introduce more plants, fruits, green vegetables, whatever, just more plants. Your whole body will change. Your mind will change. You feel so much better inside. And just as you described. So when did your father do it? Like, so 3 years now?
Yeah, at the same time as I started. Yeah.
So, and you said, so that's like what, like 28 pounds or so, right? 7 pounds?
No, that he lost, you mean?
Yeah.
No, 6 kilos. That's like 14 pounds.
Oh, I thought you said 60. And I'm going the opposite end, my bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, dude, that's amazing. At 60 years old and still being able to do that, like, it's not easy. Like our metabolism is shot by then.
Yeah.
We're really fighting an uphill battle, and so it shows the power in that. And it's really cool that he was able to do that as well. And I really really do believe in, as far as like helping the environment in that aspect, because like if anybody were to do any research and just like cutting out and like just cutting your meat by half, this would drastically help the environment. And if we all did this, if everyone did this overnight, I remember seeing the staggering statistic it would
It's
make.
insane.
Yeah, it really is.
And it's also like if everybody would cut 50% out, it's the same as half of the world will go vegetarian.
Yeah, like, I mean, it would make a massive,
Yeah.
the impact it would make, it would be huge, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely huge.
And what I also like with the plant-based diet is like thinking of what do we need? We don't need processed foods. We need foods that are real. So if you go to the supermarket and buy a piece of meat, it's like filled with chemicals and testosterone and all these antibiotics for the animals. Because if you look at the Dutch production, we produce 1 million animals per day just for consumption. 1 million per day in our country. It's like, where do they go? We just keep eating. And they are stacked in this barn with 40,000 pigs in them. Like, if you're going to eat meat, do it the right way. Like, have a small farm or go hunting. But guess what? If we do that with 7 billion people, we're not going to be able to do that. We got to go hunting with 7 billion people and eat only biological meat. Like, there's no way. So basically, everything you find in the supermarket in the Netherlands is filled with crap we don't need.
Yeah, and that's really the next important point is like, you and I kind of talked about it as well, but like, say if you're an alcoholic and you're drinking all the time, like your prefrontal cortex isn't going to develop properly. and it's going to kill your compassion and love and happiness and all of that. I truly believe that the chemicals inside of that meat do that as well at a small form, at a small scale. And this is what I experienced myself, was when I cut out the meat, my prefrontal cortex woke up. And like I just got filled full of compassion and all these things. So like I think by reducing that too, like it does other things, not just for the environment, but for the actual human itself. That, you know, if you're to stay away from that, that's what it will start by doing. And then what else will happen to you is you'll begin to realize that this food actually tastes delicious.
Oh yeah.
Then you're going to start craving it. Sure. And then you're going to be like, McDonald's makes me feel like shit, and I'm not going to eat that anymore because, like, you know, when I eat spinach and a banana and an apple, I get energy, and I got to recover for 3 days after I eat a Big Mac.
It's like I got a hangover. I have the same thing. Like me eating so healthy now, whenever I eat crap, I'm like, I'm on the toilet all day the next day. I'm like,
me too, man.
I don't want this. Like my body is just all upset.
I'm the exact same way, man. And my wife used to, like, when we first got together, she used to always tell me it was in my head, which it really is. But like my body is so used to eating the way I eat that when I go and put that poison in my body, it tells me instantly. I mean, within an hour, I'm like, my stomach don't feel right, you know? And like, that's it, to me, like, that's my body, like, finally being, you know, healthy and knowing itself, and knowing that, like, what you just put in me is poison, and you cannot do that again. And I'm going to show you why. And they're going to give you the shits.
Yep.
They're going to give you a stomach ache, and you're not going to feel good, right?
Exactly.
That's your body telling you this is not good for you.
And that can also be the same with vegan foods, because there are unhealthy vegan foods. Don't get me wrong. Like I can eat Oreo all day or vegan pizzas all day. But that's not the reason why I turn to a plant-based diet. I turn to there to eat like whole foods and non-processed foods, not to start eating processed food again. So we have to be careful with that as well.
Well, and you know, like, I know that other statistic that's out there, and it's I know it's about more of the soy farms, but like anybody that's out there eating like what you're kind of describing, like the frozen pizzas that are vegan, or like the stuff that's like they're getting them out of these soy farms, like those are killing more animals than you'd ever possibly imagine. And it's horrible for the environment too. So like, that's like, it's not doing, like, you got to eat wholesome foods. One ingredient items is what I say. Apple, spinach. If there's other shit in it, you don't want it. You know,
exactly.
One ingredient items.
But with the soy fields though, like 90% of that is to feed cows. Like a lot of people say that as an argument, like, I don't want to become plant-based because all these soy fields, they destroy the environment. But then I say, like, those soy fields are not for our production, like only 10%. That's not good either. But the 90% is to feed our cows, so then we can eat the cows. I'm like, why are we doing that? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. You know, like, I've always been fed this, and I don't know what they do in your country, but like, you got to eat 3 meals a day. It's bullshit. You don't need that much food. Like, I don't. And I eat 2 meals a day, and sometimes I'll snack in between, and that's all I need. You know, and I don't overeat anymore. Like, I just eat what my body tells me to eat. I don't count my calories. You know, like, if you're not hungry, don't eat. And I mean, really, like, I think too is when it comes down to like energy levels, if a person is really suffering with energy, it's probably because you're eating too much. You know, the amount of energy your body requires to digest food is astronomical.
Yeah, it is.
You know, so like, you want to like limit that, and like, you and I fast. You know, I'll do my 16 hours every day, and so I only eat in an 8-hour window, and it really, really helps. You combo those, like, you do mostly plants and a 16-hour fast, and you do this on a daily basis, you will change your entire life. It will happen quickly.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you told it about like the 3 meal things, but there are so many common ways to eat that are still bullshit. Like, breakfast is the best meal of the day, or like the most healthy meal of the day. I was like, okay, explain me why. Well, you need your energy. I'm like, it doesn't happen in that short period of time. It's not that if you don't eat breakfast, you're not going to have energy. Your body just keeps up with the process of burning and delivering energy. You don't need breakfast for that. Of course, if you're not going to eat for 10 days, you're probably going to have a bit less energy. But not if you skip your breakfast. Like, that's even a healthy thing to do. But it's the same with milk. Like, we had milk on our school. Like, not mandatory, but every day we would have milk on school. I was like, you don't need milk for anything. But it was still the main thing or thought of, like, as a healthy thing. So there are still so many things in this diet that are not true, just like breakfast, just like milk, and there are probably a lot of other examples.
Well, and I hate to be like the conspiracy theorist guy, but like, and maybe giving them a benefit of the doubt of like they could have possibly been wrong about this, but like the person saying that you got it, breakfast is the best meal of the day, or you need 3 meals a day, or milk is good for you, is probably the person that owns the dairy farm or the person that's selling you cereal. That's what we got to understand is like these people that are saying this to us, they're selling that product so you buy it.
So true.
And like is breakfast good for you? Absolutely. So there's a truth to it, right? Milk, I disagree with. I don't know if it's good for you. I've always had this question in my head, and I just don't really. It doesn't agree with me, and I think unanimously most people don't really, sit well with milk. So, like when I think about that, I'm like, most of the time I'm getting fed this information from a businessman that wants to sell me his product. You know what I mean?
That's true. Instead of like looking to the science and don't have a biased opinion. And what I notice as well is that dieting programs are becoming so difficult. Like on that day, you need to eat so many carbs and you need to have this thing and this schedule and whatever. And like what it all comes down to when losing weight is just eating a bit less, like being in that calorie deficit. That's it. Doesn't matter.
Simple.
It doesn't matter what window or how you have the balance of your macros, or if you do fast one day and eating the other day. It all comes down to calorie deficit. That's it. Don't overcomplicate it.
It's like it's gotten so overcomplicated. It frustrates me too, man. Like I seriously just eat when I'm hungry. It's it. Like I don't even like I eat healthy, so I do pay attention to my diet. Like I don't just eat whatever I want. But like I'm not in here detailing out how much protein I eat. I don't have fucking macros. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Train your ass off and eat healthy. Like you said, if you want to lose, deficit. If you want to gain, surplus. Simple as that, right?
It is easy.
So it's really that simple.
So I had this question for you. Like you switched to a plant-based diet, but then you didn't quit, but you incorporated some animal products again. Like why was that?
Yeah, my thing was like I really did shrivel up. Like I was like 205 and then went down to 160. And like I did this in like maybe 9 months. And so like when that happened to me, I'm like, I got to figure something out. I felt great though. So I did not do it because of the diet. And like, I think a lot of like, I even had a friend come at me about that. He's like, oh, you quit being a vegan. And I'm like, I didn't quit. I just knew that like I wasn't getting enough calories in to like, keep my weight on, which was that's a whole other thing. Like I realize now that was just my ego. Like I should have just continued on. But the main reason why I did it is because I couldn't get enough calories in. And the only way for me to really get my calories in was through carbs. And when I started doing my research in carbs, especially here in America, our wheat is horrible for us. So it limited me. And I didn't know at the time, and I do now know that like I could eat sourdough and there's I could order in pasta from Italy. And so I do that now. So I could easily go back to being like just vegan. But like I feel good with the diet I'm on now. I eat very little meat. Like I'll eat some slices of bacon in the morning sometimes. And this is all like no nitrates. It's like super clean meat. And then I'll eat some hamburger, a hamburger every now and then, or a pizza and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
and for the audience, like the amount you eat is probably going to be little, right? Like of animal products.
It's so small. Yeah, it's so small. Like I think that think about it. Like I do like 2 slices of bacon. Like these are literally like tiny little strips. You know what I mean? And I'll do that maybe 3, 4, or 5 times a week, and maybe one meal with meat, and then a lot of times I do just plant-based meals.
Cool.
And I do this like based on feeling. Like if I'm like feeling a little sluggish today, I'm not eating meat because it makes me feel slower. And that's like me like really getting detailed inside myself. Like I just know it now. Like when I eat an apple, I get energy. So if I need energy, I go eat apple.
And that's a good balance. Like me as a plant-based person, I never judge someone for someone's diet, right? Like some people on the internet, they get the idea that like plant-based people are really fierce and pushy. Like that's just the 1% you're seeing on YouTube, and the other is just normal, regular people like you and I. Like I'm not going to judge you for your diet. So I think even if you're cutting out a little bit, like I'm still proud of that. I'm like, cool, you're still making a right decision for the environment, and I'm not going to judge you for not cutting out everything. Of course not. Like every step in a good direction is already a step, So look at it on the bright side.
Yeah, it's small or big, doesn't matter. It's just taking the step. That's about it, you know. And I'm with you completely. I totally encourage people to take whatever step is necessary for them, you know. And who cares about what the next person is doing? If you took the step, that's your step. Be proud of it.
Exactly. And it's funny how I get this question, like, how do you get your protein? Like the amount of times I had this question on the plant-based diet. Now, like in our Western civilization, there is no such thing as a protein deficiency. Like that doesn't exist. If you have enough calories in your system, there is no such thing as a calorie deficit. Like no way.
Yeah, you know, James Wilkes really breaks that down in
Uh-huh.
that Game Changers debate. Like he will literally explain this crazy idea we have of protein. And we think that we need a gram of protein per pound that we weigh. And this is like so far wrong because you can't process it. Your body is just going to dump it all out. You can only process so much from what he says. It's like, I can't even remember what it is, but it's like a pretty low number, right? It's like 30 grams or something.
Yeah, for of course, when you're an athlete, it's a bit different. But for a regular civilian that just does their thing, go to work, it's like 40 grams is enough to have a healthy lifestyle, and you're not going to have a protein deficiency. So I don't know where to
Right.
get the idea of like you need 250 grams of like no, just stop. Like you don't have to.
Yeah, I think that like you're probably going to be pissing and shitting out like 70 to 80% of that. You know, like you're not processing it. Like he breaks it down and like, you know, like you said though, athletes they're far different. They really are. Like you got to if you're especially if you're like an extreme athlete and you're doing like long, you know, marathons and things like that, like you got to get detailed in your diet. Like you go through sugar spikes and that's a whole different ball game. But like the average person, we do not like the diets we tell people they need to get on to get healthy. It's crazy. It really is. You get like you say, just get into a deficit, eat a little cleaner. And that's about all you need. Like, you don't need to get into this crazy macros and all this stuff.
Yeah. So the idea of a healthy diet is really simple, but to execute it, that's where the hard part is. Like you're saying,
Yes, it is.
not processed food, a lot of vegetables and fruits, and a bit of a deficit, and you're going to be fine. But that's hard to execute.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like I think that like well, the discipline is definitely a difficult thing for a lot of people, but I think overall like it's the information overload, like all the diets that are out, like just what you were talking about, like all this information we're feeding people on what's healthy and what's not, and like you could go to one fitness guy to another, and they will literally tell you the exact opposite.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, to me, I'm like, where did this information like get so conflicted and confusing? You know, it was hard for me, like still is to this day. Like I feel like I finally got like a grasp on what my body needs, but like to get through the weeds of that information is super hard.
It is hard,
It really
especially
is.
when
Yeah.
you know nothing about nutrition. Like we are in that hole of already knowing what's good and how the effects will be. But just imagine if you didn't do your research for 40 years and you're overweight and you want to start with the diet. Like you don't know where to look.
I feel sorry for those people. I
Yeah.
do, because they're like, yeah, if you're looking for a mentor, good luck. Like
Yeah.
I hope that you find the right one because there's so many fakes out there. Like like I've always looked at this like these people that are, you could clearly see that they did steroids or they had some help, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, check out my protein shake, and they're dumping like 20 scoops of protein in it. You just need this, and I'm like, what is this crap? Like this guy's he's trying to sell you something.
Yeah, exactly.
And like that's what saddens me the most, I think, is when I see stuff like that. I'm like at least in fitness, we're here to help people get healthier and change their life and improve their life. And when you're doing that, like you're doing the opposite to them, and like that's got to be devastating to a
Yeah,
person that like
That's
Yeah,
harmful. Like
totally trying to lose weight and you can't, like you're not losing any, like it's like you'd be super discouraged. You never want to go back.
exactly, and it will also hit on your mental health. It's just the combination of that. And this is what I find out with like we discussed the whole podcast about Wim Hof, but also about Sad Guru. Like if you look at their diets, that was like really interesting. Like what does Wim Hof eat? Right? Guess what? He's a vegetarian as well. He fasts. So whenever I come across these people, it's kind of for like, okay, I'm on the right path.
Mm-hmm. That happened to me too, man. Like the same exact thing, because that's what I started doing. Is I started looking at the people that are like, not the big old steroids guys. I'm looking at like the real, like strong-minded like athletes, and I started looking at fighters and other people that do different things, and they all do what you said. Like most of them are on a fast, most of them are vegetarian, like mass majority of them. So like I'm like, this is like like when I discovered that most athletes, first of all, like get into being vegetarian, I'm like that made me super curious, you know. And there's a lot of them out there. There's so many. Like, we'd be blown away, and like that's like not the consensus we're taught. You know, it's a meat. Got to eat meat every meal. You know, that's how you get big.
It's crazy. It is how you get big, but on your belly, by the way. So.
Exactly. You got to get big just in the areas you don't want to get big in.
Yeah. And I'm really curious, like 50 years from now, how we're going to look back on the way we treat our animals, we treat our environment and our health with this, how do you say that, meat consumption and the way we look at meat. I think we're going to be ashamed in 50 years.
Yeah, that's why I've always liked you, man, is you have foresight into the future, and I agree completely. Like, I don't think that we realize what we're doing today. And we're going to wake up one day and we're going to be like, wow, we just really like screwed up our environment and ourselves. Yeah. You know, that's how I feel. I feel the same way as you.
Well, we'll see. Like, we're going to live for 50 years. So when we're still podcasting, we can refer back to podcast number 6, and then we can check if it came out.
And how cool is that going to be?
Yeah.
I hope that happens, man. 50 years from now, we pull this up, and I get to hear you say that and hear me say that. We're both looking like Santa Claus without a belly.
Well, you're gonna be way older than me.
Shit, dude, I'm gonna be 87. I'll be on a cognitive decline then.
I'm gonna be 71. Yeah.
This is gonna be a super slow podcast.
Yeah. Like us not knowing how the mic works. Like, wait, do we know how to start it or?
My legs won't be working, but I'm gonna be sitting in my drum chair still doing curls. See, you can still do it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That will be fun. All right. I think this is a good ending for the plant-based topic. Thanks for asking.
I agree. Yes, sir. I hope you guys learned. Go ahead.
No, you go. It's your thing.
I hope you guys learned something today, because truly, like that, I was always curious about it, and I appreciate you sharing. I think that like not only your lifestyle is very interesting, but just how you treat your health, and so it's very very cool for you to share it for everybody. And I hope everyone learns.
I hope so too. And I will put the James Wilco debate in the description if everybody or anyone wants to watch it. I will put it in the description below. So
beautiful. Thank you, everyone.
Cool.
We will see you next time. All righty.
Later.